Hello and welcome to the next part of the data engineering Zoomcamp in module 2. Now today we're going to be looking specifically at how you can orchestrate Python code inside of Kestra. Now while we won't be necessarily orchestrating Python code in the ETL pipelines we'll be building in the next part, this is still a fundamental part of data engineering, and you might want to use this in your project later on. So let's cover it today. Now, the Python script we're going to be using today is available inside of the GitHub repository, so I'd recommend checking that out. It's called o2_python. We can copy and paste this into Kestra, and we'll see a workflow that looks a little bit like this. Now this workflow just has one task in it. It's got the Python script task. Now there are actually a couple of ways you can run Python inside of Kestra. We're going to be using the script task today, which allows you to write your Python code directly inside of the workflow. So you can see here under this script property, we've written the Python code directly in the workflow. Now this is great for small snippets of Python where you just need to be able to manipulate a small bit of data and you want to be able to just tap into the power of Python to do so. But maybe you've got a bigger project that you've written the Python code locally outside of Kestra, and you want to be able to just execute those files. Now, that's where the commands task comes in. This task allows you to take a file and then be able to execute it using the commands task. We can upload these files as namespace files, where we can then access them inside of our workflow. And as you can see here, we've just included the permission to allow it to access namespace files, and then we can just execute the command just like we would in our terminal on our local machine. Now, it's also worth clarifying that the way that Python works inside of Kestra is by default, it's going to spin up a Docker container to run that code. This is great because it means that any dependencies it needs to use, in this case, requests and Kestra, which for context, use UV under the hood to manage those dependencies. It's going to install those inside of a container. You can specify the versions you need, and it's not going to clash with any other workflows or even other tasks you have in that workflow that are also using Python. Now, you can also specify the container image it's going to use. So maybe you've got a pre-built image that contains a lot of these dependencies that you need. So you could build that image, have that hosted in a registry, and then access it directly here. So this means that your task runner, which in this case is Docker, will build using that image. It's got the dependencies it needs, and it can just execute your code. Now, there are options to run in other task runners, the most notable being process, where you can execute it as a sub-process on the machine of Kestra. Now, in our case, because Kestra is running in a Docker container, it will just run it inside that Kestra container. But if you were running Kestra as a local executable, it will just run it as a sub-process there. So that's where maybe having a virtual environment would be a good idea, because it will access any existing dependencies on your system. And so you might want to be able to just put it in a virtual environment and control those dependencies a little more. But we don't need to do that where we're using a container, because that gives us the isolation we need. Now, just like any other Python code, this code here is just written directly inside. There's nothing special about it. But we are using the Kestra library that allows us to then be able to send data generated in the Python code back to Kestra as an output. So you'll see here, we've got this Kestra library here, and we're doing .output, and we're passing it a JSON effectively, or in this case, a dictionary with key value pairs. If I execute this workflow now, we'll see it's going to spin up a container, and it's going to install those dependencies using UV. And then once it's finished, it's going to destroy that container. And if we go to output, we can see it was able to send us an output called downloads with that number. And we can then access that later on in future tasks if we want to. So that gives you an overview of how Python works inside of Kestra. You can obviously take this a step further by using a Git plugin to automatically pull your code to your workflow, have Kestra then be able to execute those files from that code, and then generate data that you can then pass on to other tasks. Hopefully you found that useful. In the next part of the course, we're going to start looking at actually building a data pipeline. So definitely stay tuned for that.